Hello and welcome at a new episode of Change Talks podcast. And today with very special guest because we will actually extend the way how we approach the change, how we look and discuss the change. Because today we will do it from the coaching perspective. Because my guest today is Natasha Sakota. She's an international coach, certified, and her specialty is actually helping the executive officers and the C-level managers. So far, she's been working with top-tier executives from KPMG, British Telecom, any AstraZeneca or Gucci, or even government officials. She's based in Switzerland, but she's providing her coaching services worldwide. And today we will talk about how one actually becomes an executive coach, what problems these guys are solving, and more importantly, that actually at the very beginning, it's always to get under control your own state before you can lead the others. So I'm really looking forward to our discussion. Natasha, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Victor, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good. So let's move
Thank-
on and let's talk about the change.
Change Talks, your passport to exciting changes in your business, career, and life. Change Talks, your podcast when it's time to do things differently.
So, Natasha, always at the very beginning, I try to understand what was the career path that took my guests the change to dealing with change. So, what was yours? Because you are top tier executives coach, and how one becomes one? Yeah, was the childhood dream or what was the
No,
path?
actually, no. I was in finance before, and actually, because I did it, I was in business a long time ago, and I wish I had because it would have helped me in my career. I was working for banks, ABN AMRO, and other banks, and then I also went in to fashion. In Milan, I was working as the director of commercial sales. And then I got into our own business, which was running a hotel in the south of France. And then after came the coaching. Had I had coaching, I think I could have managed in a better way because you're always learning. That's one of the biggest gifts a CEO should realize is that even if a CEO or director, you reach that point, doesn't mean that the learning stops. Actually, the learning should increase. It's this idea of always having this growth mindset to try and, really lead your team in a good way, in a way that is infinite, that lasts.
Mm.
So I
That,
got
that
into
that's
coaching. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go.
you took it in a shortcut in a way. Yeah, for me, it would be the most interesting to understand the turn from running like the hotel to the coaching. Like what made you to do this kind of transition?
Okay, yes, because the hotel is another business. You are dealing with so many different people, personnel, the kitchen, the beach, because we had a beach, the staff of the hotel. And I suppose your skills of how to lead a team are like 360 degrees. Whereas in banking, I was just trading and dealing with one financial thing. It was not, yes, but in a hotel, it's really immense, different personalities, different, class sectors. So I really felt that I was lacking in dealing with it. I said, no, I have to understand more. And so slowly, actually, I started with neuro-linguistic programming because neuro-linguistic programming has many techniques to help you manage first your state so that you don't overreact, because the chefs, they overreact, heavily. And so you have
And
to
it's
like
it's yeah.
maintain. Huh?
It's dangerous when the chef overreacts because they have these big knives.
Yes, I had that incident. I had a French
Really?
chef and a Sue Italian chef. And I don't know what happened, but the two are coming to the kitchen. At one point, they were standing there with a knife because I didn't know how to deal with that. So then I said, no, I have to learn. And slowly, I got into neuro-linguistic learning techniques, how to speak to people, how to be assertive, to be able to say what you mean, but without offending. Do you understand? So it got me into coaching, and slowly, after doing the master's in neuro-linguistic programming, I felt that it was necessary to get an international certificate. And so I did the ICF because it's world known and it is one of the top coaching certificates.
Okay, so you had then the education, you had the certification.
Yes.
Then, what was the enabler to actually step into these boardrooms and talk to these guys? Because, there is a lot of egos, of course. So how did you manage to become a person that they are actually hiring to teach them?
Oh, I never tell them what they have to do in their business. That's why I am able to do any person in any field. They could even be the astronauts going to the moon, because I never obviously talk about their business. All I really do is allow them to expand and empower themselves, and to reflect on what they are doing. This is probably the biggest job that a coach does, is they come to you, especially the higher rankings, they are alone. There are not many people they can speak to, because the employees, everybody looks up to them, and it's not really easy for them to say what they think, to release also the pressure that they have. The higher in ranking you go, the more opinions there are, more judgment. You have to be able to take those. So I'm a sounding board for them. I facilitate and listen and allow them to reflect on certain ideas, and then they come up with the strategies, really. This is the key point about coaching. So how did I get in? I was also fortunate because I was hired by, I don't know if you know, the University of Bocconi, which is an Italian master school. They do MBAs, many of them. And all the executives that are there need to do coaching as part of their program. So this facilitated my entry at the age of almost 50 to get into coaching these executives. So yes, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And actually, the observation you just shared, that the people are kind of like lonely. Yeah? I remember that I read somewhere that the comment is lonely, and it's very true.
Yes.
Because the higher you are, then the less people you have around to really have good, open discussions. Because sometimes it's tough, or it's tough because you have some problems. Yeah, you are looking for somebody to help you out, but you know that you really cannot share some of these problems with your team. Yeah. When you, for example, need to deal with layoffs and so on, you just cannot, talk to anybody in the organization, and it's like, okay, how many people to lay off, how to cut the cost and so on. So that makes you very lonely, and having somebody from the outside, coach, advisor, is then very welcome, because then you can share this trouble, and shared trouble is less trouble, right?
Because after all, they are also human, and they also suffer from emotions and okay, yes, it's true. We are human, so we all suffer, even though they may seem like, actually, that's a point. Can a CEO be vulnerable? That's another point. Yes, I think they should. To be transparent, a CEO sometimes can say, look, to their director, well, look, I don't understand how to do that. Can you help me? Instead of saying and believing they know everything.
It's a good question, right? You say yes, the CEO can be vulnerable. There are other people who say no, because the CEO needs to project the image of trust, belief, motivation, all these kind of traits. Yeah, there is no room for showing vulnerability, because people may think, okay, if the CEO is vulnerable, then how we can survive this financial crisis or whatever. Yeah, how can that person lead us if he or she is vulnerable? How come? So you say CEO can be vulnerable.
Yeah, obviously. No, wait. The strategy and First of all, a CEO has to be flexible, has to adapt to change. That's why he's the CEO or the director, top director, because they are tested also in their ability to adapt quickly to COVID situations. And whatever could happen, they have to have that strategy, and it's their responsibility. Let's not forget that. They have to be accountable. Okay. However, if a CEO always knows everything and always, he's giving that impression that if you don't know it, you better watch it because your time here is limited. Do you understand? How can I explain it better? Sorry. People make mistakes. The more, it's psychological safety. It's transparency. Like, oh shit, maybe I made the wrong assumption. I thought this, it didn't work. Now, if you have that openness, that employer will come to you and will tell you if you do the problem months later and have an even bigger loss. So it's this ability to say, look, we all make mistakes. I do too, or not mistakes. Maybe I'm not a genius of, 360 degrees. I maybe don't know here. What do you think? Let's discuss. I mean, what was the name? The CEO of General Motors, and now his name but quite a while ago, he used to have meetings and everybody would agree with him. And then he would say, okay, gentlemen, I see you all agree. Now, let's meet again next week and I want to hear all your disagreements with me. So it's good also to disagree. So vulnerable in the sense, giving the idea that I don't know everything, every single thing. Sometimes I don't know. I'm going to ask you, let's work as a team, But of course, the leading of the strategy in times of difficulty, the leader has to be the leader. He has to lead. So that's what I mean.
So it's when you talk about the vulnerability, you basically talk about openness and being humble. Right? These are the two traits. Openness, the other opinions, openness, the feedback of the people around, and being humble in a way that, reflect on own mistakes, take the learnings, and not the position himself or herself as, okay, I'm the only master. I know the best.
Yes.
Right?
And those are known as toxic bosses. And I've come across so much of it now that also the CTOs, the CFOs, they try so hard. They see what's going wrong, but they have no say. They just cannot infiltrate because the top guy just doesn't want to know. So this is a very fixed mindset, a mindset and you know why they have it, Victor? And sorry, it's because they have fear. They have fear. Their ego fears. So to prevent this, they put up the barrier, and it doesn't help the company in the long run. It doesn't help. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned one of the key enemies of change, the fear. It's always like, some kind of fear that is holding us back. It can be fear of failure, fear of what the others are going to think about me. It's we have all sorts of fears, but these fears are holding us back. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are the typical problems, challenges that the executive officers are when they are looking your help? What is the typical assignment that you have, let's say, with the executive officer?
Okay, so many of them also CEOs, so they are trying to move forward. I also have middle managers that want to become, a CEO or one of those of the C-suite. Middle managers is a very difficult position because they kind of squash between everybody. They have to respond to the bottom, respond to the top, so it's not easy. So this is, and of course, okay, sorry, let me ask you a bit at the top. It's the ability, in a way, to meet the needs of the company, but also to sell your value, how much you can add to the company to bring it where it should come or go. And so this is also linked to purpose. What is the purpose of the company? What is my personal purpose, and where am I going? So the biggest issues I have is the ability to be able to ask, to be assertive, to be visible. You know how difficult it is for these CEOs, C-suites, not CEOs, because they are already at the top.
The middle managers.
Yeah, and they're not visible. So they have to find ways of how to make themselves rise above the competition as well, because there's other people that are also aiming for that spot. So we go through all these kind of other issues are delegation. Some of them do everything, micromanaging. They don't trust. So how can you have a team if you don't trust your team? Then how can that be a team? It's like you've got to trust the people. But to delegate requires an investment. You have to have a high tolerance for people that are going to make mistakes for quite a while until they learn, and then you can do it, you see. So there's all these issues. So, it's I suppose I like state, the ability to have this influence and inspire people. Okay, that's what you're doing. The higher you go up the ranks, those next to you, and maintain a good, feeling with authenticity and integrity. And it's not easy. This is really not easy as you go up.
So it's about kind of building, maintaining, and developing a personal brand as a manager. That's the task.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. And many of them don't. Some of them are not. Yes, they sort of just go with the flow of the company without, allowing their own visibility and personal brand to stand out. So yes, this is it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a usual problem with many middle managers who are good performers, that they perform very well, but their visibility within the organization is kind of limited. So then when it comes time for promotions, new roles, new assignments, these people are very often forgotten, right? And other people who maybe do not have that great performance but better visibility get the chance. So you help those performers, to actually get this recognition.
Exactly. So in a way, I believe the influence, how can I say, it's a little strategy. You have to acknowledge the people around you, okay? Have empathy. Empathy in the why is empathy important? Empathy is important because not everybody thinks like me, okay? So if I understand the person, I can understand a new perspective, okay? Because obviously our reality is a bit restrained. I think you've heard of that famous expression, the map is not the territory, or the territory is not the map is not the territory, that one. So we all have a limited view because of our filters and our beliefs and our values. So being able to see things from another person's point of view can give you new options, new ways of doing things. Once you develop this rapport, let's say rapport means this good connection with someone, they begin to trust you, they begin to say, look, I can count on him. Then the beauty is you can start to slowly move them to your direction, influence them. And that's how you slowly can also get a promotion, where you tell these kind of things.
So what are the typical, steps, tips, and tricks that you share with your clients when they ask you to help them to get this kind of visibility, to get improvement of their personal brand? What's the mechanics? How you do that?
Okay. Well, first of all, connection, networking, and Victor, people are so filled up with appointments that they just say, "Okay, I got an appointment, I've got to go." Boom. Unstructured time. Take time before the meeting to talk. Just even non-personal things. I mean, non-work related, personal aspects. For those 5 minutes before, how are you? Or do you have what did you do before you were at this company? Do you have a family? Do you have children? Even a little bit of this personal stuff is not bad, I believe, because people talk about this. you cannot bring your personal life into business or into at work. Your son calls you and said, or the hospital calls because your son has been taken, you're going to run there. So there is a connection. So that's why another tip for also team leaders, every week they should find out. I tell them to do an energy check. How is everybody? Even by email. How are you all today from 0 to 5? Are you at 2 or 2 means something's not okay? I'm there for you. What can I do for you? How can I help you? Because people matter and they feel, like I really matter to this company. So these are tips. Another great example that I tell my executives to do is to find out the person's story, to really do one-on-ones. Oh, you know how many of them don't do one-on-ones on a weekly basis? They do one-on-ones every 3 months, every 4 months, or maybe only when there's the performance review. I think this is, okay, maybe not every week, but a manager or, a team leader should speak one-on-one, because in that moment, that person can tell you a lot of things that you as a leader need to know. So one-on-ones are important, these energy checks. And then I made an exercise with their employees, and they have 10,000. They asked them all to write a story about how their work matters, what they're doing, and it's a consulting company, matters to others, to the world as a whole. And they thought, oh, maybe only half of them will answer. They got 27,000 stories, which means each person wrote almost 3, because it was this purpose, I'm here not just for me and to earn money, but I'm here for something greater than me, something that will help somebody else. After all, that's what companies do. Companies provide value to customers. And so this is another great exercise to do with your people. There are many more.
No, I like it, and I especially like it when you said to have this personal interaction with people before the meeting or to have one-to-ones. Now, the one thing I think, though, important to mention is that you need really to mean it as a manager. Yeah? It needs to be honest interest, because I've seen some managers do that because maybe it was written in some book, they read.
Yes, and then they don't really.
And they say, okay, that's a good idea, I will do that. And you just sense, you feel, that they are just asking the question not because they are really interested, but because it's just some sort of habit. And they even don't wait for the answer, or they wait for the answer, but while the person is responding, the guy is checking the mails on the phone. So I always say, okay, you need to be human, but really human. It needs to come from you. If it's just some sort of trick that you learned, it's a technique that you are applying as a technique, it's not going to work. It's then actually counterproductive, because people then see immediately the clash. They see the difference. Yeah, they see the projected face and the real face. And when they notice this mismatch, that person is actually losing a lot of personal credibility. Because how they can then trust a manager who's just pretending, basically, that's in their eyes, right? In their eyes, they see that manager as a pretending to have an interest which is not there. Yeah. So great tip, great technique, how to establish a more personal relationship, either within your team, with your peers, colleagues, and so on. But you have to really do it, from the inside.
Authentic way. But wait, this is very interesting point, and this can I add to what you've said? Okay, so why does this happen? Why does it happen that someone is on their phone or looking? It's because it's a learned act. It's something they've been doing for so long that it's in their subconscious. Actually, he may not even realize it. the CEO, because it's a pattern. So that's also where my job comes. I have to show them this and say, now you've learned this pattern. To unlearn this habit takes time. And some people say 3 weeks to learn a new habit. No. I can tell you, it takes longer. You've really got to repeat, be aware. I am doing this. Okay, what can I do that can take me off this learned pattern that I've had, but perhaps even when you were younger. I mean, my son has his phone for years and he's always looking at it. It's a terrible habit. So, this is what a CEO, a leader, is actually the subconscious is very important, because it's a pattern that we fall into when we don't realize it. So if you're not aware, awareness is highly, highly important. So if you're not aware, you will fall into that, not be authentic, your team won't believe you, and then where is the trust, that we want?
Yeah, so true. Yeah, learning new habits is actually not that difficult in a way as unlearning the old habits, because if you learn a new habit, you start from the scratch. You are building on the green field, right? Now, if you want to unlearn some habit, the first step is actually to realize, okay, what you should unlearn, and that this is the awareness. And I think it also goes back to the discussion we had about being open to the feedback, being open to listen to other people.
In fact,
because unless it's very difficult with this habit, of checking the emails, let's say on the phone, right? Yes. Unless somebody tells you, it's very difficult to realize that you have this habit, because for you it's a second nature, right?
Exactly.
Unless somebody tells you, look, actually I don't feel very well if you are checking emails while having conversation with me. That's the aha moment from which you can then start and try to unlearn that habit. But without this knowledge, without this realization, difficult.
Exactly. And that's also where feedback, many people take it personally. And they shouldn't really take it personally. So feedback is essential. The Meta 360, have you heard of that? The Meta 360, I mean, that's a fantastic tool. People get so much awareness because the feedback is anonymous. Okay. So that helps, because then the person is easy, but I don't think so. I think a real feedback, the person should be able to tell you, without them being then castrated because they said something that is personal. So if a CEO, manager, anybody can remove themselves, so step out and see the value behind that feedback, is a great aspect.
Yeah, it is, but to get the feedback, you need really to build the trust with the people, right? So, as you say, many people take it very personally. My experience is that the higher you go in the organization, the more ego there is, the more personally then the managers take it. And for them, the biggest mistake is to react in a personal way, or to reject the feedback, trying to explain, why the employee is wrong when giving this kind of feedback, or having those feelings, or whatever is the observation. Because you do it just once and you will never ever get honest feedback again. And not only from this person, but also from the other people, because guess what the people do in the kitchenette? Yeah, they share the stories. Yeah,
exactly.
And if you just are rude to somebody, even if it's 1-to-1, believe me, the next day the whole company knows about it. Yeah. So how you behave to one person affects how all the other people in the organization will basically talk back to you. Right?
Exactly. It comes back to you. And so there is a lovely thing that maybe also I wanted to just talk. I love the saying, fear of people's opinions. Okay. And so what happens when we start to fear judgment? Okay, we are putting our control externally, because we cannot control what people are going to say. There is no way. It's out of our control. Okay. The only things we can control are our behavior, our words, our thoughts. Okay. And our emotions. It's ourselves. So this is a very important aspect, because if you fear too much what others are going to say, you're always going to be suffering. You will suffer your whole life, because you will never be, okay, this is me, this is who I am. And okay, the guy told me this. Let me see, I'm aware he said that. I'll open my viewpoint. I'll try and be more holding of other people's. You know what, Victor, you can also just say thank you for the feedback. And that's it. Then you decide on your own whether you want to keep it or not. You're not forced. You can, but at least you said thank you. You don't have a conflict. You think about it. If it's really, but you got to think about it. I mean, if someone had to say it, means there's something there. So let me think about it. And then you decide the step that you're going to take, the action to that. Through your behavior, through your state. Echo, that's why I believe state is so important. Because if you're frustrated and you start shouting, or you say, as you said, you know, something that you don't, look, you're wrong, you have a problem.
How would you draw the line between ignorance and, let's say, ignorance and self-confidence? What I mean by that is, as you said, you know, you do not control what other people think or feel about you, right? So when they give you some feedback, or they share with you their thoughts, their opinions, not all of them may resonate with you, okay? And I believe there is a borderline, because on one side, let's say, of the border, you may your reaction or your perception of that could be like, you know, ignorance, saying, okay, yeah, it doesn't matter. What that person says doesn't matter, because I don't agree with that. I don't control what other people think about me. I believe that I'm the best. I'm the great leader. I know how to lead the company, and the opinion of the person doesn't matter. That's ignorance, right? On the other side of the border is what I would call like, you know, let's say, healthy self-confidence. When you say, okay, I understand that there are reasons why that person may think or feel this or that, but I'm confident that what I do has a reason. What I do is for good for the company, etc., etc. So, how to recognize, let's say, where is the borderline between this kind of ignorance and rejection and healthy assessment? You know, how to help people to find this borderline?
Okay, so I always talk about purpose, and I do this on purpose. What I'm doing is why? Because I want to align my identity in what I'm doing, whatever it may be. Hey, it could be even mother, father, leader of a sport team, whatever. I have to align my purpose, my identity, my values, and do you understand? And my beliefs. And if I hold a belief, or if my value is a certain value, okay, and that person is just, I don't know, saying something that is completely in conflict with the purpose of why we are all here, okay, and for the greater good, you know, or of the company, can be just the company, of the family, of the sports team. If the person just comes with something that is so out and it's just in conflict with your value, which you have thought about, you know how many times I ask people, what is important to you? And they tell me, they say, oh, one person said, what was it? It was between making money, which was security, and having freedom. So freedom to do what they wanted. That's why they took a job that they were like freelance. Okay. But they want security, and they want to be sure that they have money. So then I said, how much time do you, so first it's my freedom, so I can decide for myself. Then it's security. You can actually give a hierarchy of a person's value. But people think, how can I say that the most important, let's say in this instance, was freedom. But if I ask them, how much time do you spend working? They'll say, oh, about 12 hours a day. I said, okay, but so then something is in conflict. So you're working 12 hours, but you want freedom. So actually your first value is security. You want to earn. So as soon as there is a conflict and something goes against your values, then there you can start to see, okay, or I have to go back and figure out, is this person who is ignorant in a way, no, that was the ignorant, who is just talking nonsense, is it in line with my integrity, with my value, with my purpose? If it is in line, I must listen to it. If it's not, I put it aside and say, okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing, and then do not act on it, or be assertive. I feel, we make it personal, or do you have some time? I need to speak to you about something that is important. Never just say, this is not okay, what you've said. Take a breath and then come back to them and say, look, I would like to speak to you. Do you have some time today or tomorrow? When can we meet? So that the person becomes prepared and doesn't react. And then use the assertive language. I feel that what you said, it doesn't resonate with me, and then you carry on the conversation.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
But it's this being in line with these principal factors.
Yeah. So you always need to have some anchor.
Yes.
Some anchor, some purpose, and that's very powerful, and not that many people realize that, especially when it comes to the change, because unless you have this kind of anchor, unless you have this kind of purpose, then you can take many roads. It doesn't really matter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because only when you have the anchor, you can differentiate. You can assess the different options and pick up the one that is in line with your direction and take that, right?
Exactly. Thank you for putting it in simpler words.
That's my contribution in this podcast. I'm just trying,
brilliant.
to smartly rephrase that,
Yes.
Okay. And a couple of times you were talking about managing your state.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that, actually?
Okay. So another issue is sometimes, which my clients have, is they get frustrated with people, okay? They just, and I told her 20 times and she still doesn't get it. Or this or that, so there are many emotions. We are made of emotions. I find that many people who are managers and CEOs, they're very logical. They're very in the mind, and they don't really take things to the body. But as we talked, the behavior comes out of the body. It's the subconscious that will just react. Okay. So to manage a state is the ability to control yourself and be aware of it in that moment where someone can really stretch you to the limits. Okay. So there are exercises that one can do. Okay. Anchoring is also one. To anchor yourself, which you can learn exercises. We teach, because for instance, if you start to get frustrated and you want to say something, you can actually touch yourself somewhere to say, no, look, calm, let's breathe, take 6 breaths before you say something that after you regret, Sometimes I say, look, before you even say something you'll regret, just say, excuse me, I have to go to the toilet. I mean, that's a strategy. And then there you breathe and you calm down, So managing the state is the ability to remain centered in your groundedness, so that you are not taken by the flow of others. You keep yourself in that state that is controlled and another way of state. Yeah, sorry. Okay, you say something.
I will share a story. With you.
Yes.
The anchoring or calming down before you respond, react is very important, right? Because not not only like, for the others, but also like, for you, for your self-preservation and for building your personal brand. Because if people see you as somebody who's reacting in a very flamboyant way at the meetings, it's not the right sort of leadership, right? So you should find a way, how to calm down. And for me, one thing, that helps me is if I have a chance to look out of the window and look like, just on the sky, on the horizon, yeah, and take a deep breath and
Really?
so on, yeah. And and once a person noticed that I'm looking very often out of the window at one meeting, he told me,
Oh, wow.
what's actually going outside? Are there any planes flying? Or I noticed that you are looking out of the window, because it was a very difficult meeting actually.
So, yeah.
And I needed to stay calm. It was very, very difficult, for me. So every couple of seconds, I was just look at the sky,
Yes.
the clouds. Okay.
And that allowed you to bring back
Yeah,
calmness.
yeah. So it's good to have some anchor. Just make sure that the people will not notice that you are anchoring.
Yes, that you don't notice. Yeah, absolutely. There are many techniques as well. I mean, it's your thoughts are also important. The thought, the focus. What am I? You there and you think, oh God, this meeting. What is this guy saying? Those are the thoughts. Oh my God, I completely disagree with this. And the thought starts to build up and build up, and then so first are the thoughts, then there's the feelings, and there's the behavior. So you have to really watch your thoughts. So what you focus on is where your attention will go. So when you start to notice that you're having thoughts like this, you've got to change your thoughts. That's another. It's not easy to change the thoughts in the middle of a meeting.
Yeah, but so powerful actually. And the funny thing is that some time ago I read a book. I don't remember the name of the book, neither the author. I can find it out and put it in the description. I don't know. But the idea in the book was that the reality is kind of objective. And
Yes.
it's our choice to decide what we will think about the reality.
Yeah, because
So if
because our thoughts are subjective.
yes, because the thoughts are subjective and it's our choice. And how we choose our thoughts then actually controls or impacts the emotions. So
Exactly.
people often think that the order is that it starts with the emotions and that the emotions are then driving our thoughts and behaviors. And it's not like that. It's really the thoughts. For example, if it's a rainy day outside, yeah, that's objective thing. You can measure it. Yeah, it's
Yes, you can
raining,
imagine.
and so on. Now you may decide to think, oh, that's an awful day, right? And then you will feel sad, depressed, unmotivated. The whole day is gonna be disaster.
Exactly.
To deal with you will be very difficult for the other people. Or you may decide to think, yeah, it's raining, but still it's a nice day. So at least like there will be a lot of, I don't know, underground water for plants to grow. Yeah. So you will
Exactly.
find some positive thought, and then your emotions about their day are going to be very different. Suddenly you will feel, okay, it's a good day, it's a normal day, and you will behave accordingly. So it really starts, as you say, with our thoughts, and we are the ones who controls what we think, not the others.
Exactly. Absolutely. You see fear of people's opinion, but you can't, it's your thoughts, your words, your behaviors, your thoughts. And actually, I didn't tell you, but I also do hypnosis.
You do. You
Yeah.
tell me now. We are deep into the podcast,
Sorry
and
about that.
the hell, I
Sorry. I
may be,
thought, well, if this was a CEO, but even with some
I may
CEOs,
be under hypnosis now, and I don't know.
yes, you could be. No, I didn't. I do hypnosis because sometimes beliefs are so ingrained because of our past that people are just, they cannot let go of them. So we do hypnosis to help them, let go of a belief that isn't serving them. And that's the thought. Is this what I'm doing serving me? If it's not serving me, if it's not helping me get my career, I've got to change it. I have the power to do that. And then I give all my clients a recording with the positives. I am enough. oh, you know how many don't believe they are enough? I'm more than enough. I can do it. But they've got to repeat it to themselves night and day, write it on the mirrors, put it on their cushions for at least those 3 weeks, 6 months, hopefully. Why? Because this ingrains a new pattern, a new way of thinking about themselves that makes things more positive, that also people will see you in a better state. And who wants to work for someone who is always in a bed? You can see by their posture as well. Or they like this, and I don't know, they just harsh. You know, someone that people want to work for, a nice person, for someone who is, as you say, knows where he's going, can lead you, inspires you, but he's also a nice person. Otherwise, your turnover rates are high. Hey? Turnovers are, people just leave. Now even more, huh? With the new generations, they don't want to work for sick.
Isn't it just surprising what you just said about these top executives? Because, you know, these are your clients, and you just said that they feel that they are not enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that they are not ready for their job or the next
Can
challenge,
you imagine?
and so on. Yeah. I think that should be kind of wake-up call for all of us, all people, right? Because, you know, just imagine if those top executives who are in charge of these multi-million or billion companies, you know, thousands of people under management, and they still have this kind of fears and so on. It means not only they are human, but they are just alike, you know. And you, usually entrepreneurs, people who want to start their own business, they are having the same kind of fears.
Yes.
They feel the same limitations on their path. Yeah. So just don't be that scared. That would be my advice, because you are not that different, and it doesn't matter where you are on your career path. You know, if you think that okay, if I was a CEO, I wouldn't have this kind of fears. No, it's not
No.
true. Yeah.
No.
You will have maybe just different sort of problems to solve, but still, you know, you may have the same feelings unless you find a way how to deal with them, how to cope with them, and how to overcome them. And this is the skill that you will need throughout your career. It doesn't matter if you are at the very beginning or if you are very advanced.
Absolutely. And it never ends. This journey of self-development never ends. That is so true. In fact, I even did with one of my clients. We discussed the moment he had a downswing. Okay, something went wrong, and I don't know what, and he was really in a down situation. And so he had videos because they were recording, and he said, "Look." I said to him, do you have like a scene or a video of you in a moment where you're really, everything's just going well? Anything, even if you were playing sport or whatever. So he would bring me this video and we would look at it together. And then I said, okay, have you got a video or just describe a situation where you were really down? So then he would describe, so the video, you see this guy standing straight, looking out, the focus is very mirrored and he knows exactly what he's doing, you know, he feels good and it's just like a flow. And then when he said that everything started going wrong, I said, okay, describe your body. He said, well, my shoulders started to go like this. I felt my head hanging. I just had no energy. My hands were like on my lap. And then I said, okay, now, how can you change your state? Another way to change your state is to change your body.
Yeah, it's a
you are
very powerful
down.
hack. Yeah, cool. I like that.
Yeah, you have to say, okay, so shit, today, yeah, I feel terrible. I'm like, oh, you know, then you just say, okay, open up. There's a famous study, Amy Cuddy of Harvard or something. She did those power poses, and it was proven that the testosterone levels rise, cortisol goes down, which are the adrenaline that gives you fear. But so you lift yourself and you put your arms like this. I mean, you can't go like this at work, the victory pose or like this, but you can do it in the bathroom. You're feeling down at work. If you continue like that, your thoughts are like that. Oh my God, oh, that life is terrible. Okay, change my thoughts. Change the posture
then. and you have the
As you
very
said, breathe as
powerful
well. Yeah,
side
and
effect.
you feel so much better even just moving, and then you come back to that resourceful state. We want to get into a state where, because if you fear and if you have pressure, the brain doesn't think because it goes into fear mode, so the blood goes to the fingers to fight or to run away or just to not think. But as soon as you calm yourself, you allow blood to come into this brain of yours and the prefrontal cortex. Okay, this is neuroscience, guys. Wonderful. I love it. But you can think again.
Yeah.
And then you've got options to make decisions. But if you can't think, it's hard.
Yeah, because then you are just in the narrow tunnel view. Yeah. Mentioning this kind of like, downswing that you were resolving with your client, are these downswings or burnouts more frequent, would you say? I'm asking that because I had some guests on my podcast that had this kind of experience, or I know people in my social bubble, top managers or successful entrepreneurs, but they are on the brim or on the edge of burnout. They had this kind of experience in different, let's say, levels or grades. But I feel suddenly that this kind of problem, this kind of issue, is more frequent than it used to be. Do you have the same observation?
I do. And in fact, I noticed with those of my clients who have burnout, they can't stop thinking. Not even on the weekend. They are free. They don't have to work. I have to go work out. One guy said, I can't relax. There's no way. I have to do something. I have to go and work. I have to. And the wife isn't so happy, then it influences the family as well. So I really noticed this. Perhaps it's also the social media. The phone is always happening. So this is another part of culture of a company. So I'll tell you, there's 3 points of culture. One is that psychological safety, the ability to say what I think. Okay, the other is the purpose that we talked about, common purpose. Why are we all here together? And the third is this shared understanding, the empathy. Look, please don't send me the email on a Sunday or a Saturday night, because some bosses do that. And then the other person gets it and thinks, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. Why is he writing it to me now? And all this analysis paralysis starts happening and they go down this tunnel. So that's very important, the culture of a company, to instill these understandings between everybody, to know perhaps the director sends you the email, will say, look, I will send you an email on Saturday nights, but don't worry, you only need to answer it on Monday. But at least the person knows. So this is how we've got to know our people, know our team. And they are so much, the CEOs and managers put themselves so far away. They're not involved. They have to be involved.
Yeah.
Burnout
but
will be less.
Yeah, in the story you mentioned, it's nice demonstration that very often we create these pressures just in our own mind. Yeah, if that person gets an email on Sunday evening, it's maybe because the boss has nothing better to do, right? It's his or her choice, right? Now, doesn't mean that that person needs to react. Probably, yeah. The easiest way is then on Monday, just to ask, say, okay, boss, I got this email on Sunday, just to check with you, to clear the expectations. Do you expect me to respond on Sunday, yes or no? And
Perfect.
the boss may say, I don't know, I'm just, I don't know what to do on Sunday evening, so I send emails, whatever, fine. Or the boss may say, yeah, I expect that you will respond. Then it's your actually choice, your decision, if you want to be part of that kind of culture, if you want to play the ball and answer the emails on Sunday. Yeah?
Exactly.
If you want to go for that, that's fine with you. If not, at least you know for sure, okay, that this is maybe not the company, not the culture where you want to be. The worst scenario is if you are in the gray zone.
Yes.
If you feel, okay, I should maybe answer, and you are going to behave in a way that is actually not expected or not necessary, or you will create pressure in your own mind that you are not doing something right, wrong. Maybe you are not in the right culture. Just clear it up. Yeah,
Exactly.
whatever you find is gonna be a good message. Yeah. You will
Exactly.
know if your boss is crazy, or you will know that you have to leave. Yeah? For example, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, but you are not in the unknown. It's the unknown that creates all these kind of pressures on us that are hitting and are creating these fatigue, burnout, stress, etc.
Yes,
Just
exactly. But there are methods, like you said, with your thoughts, change your behavior. What is important to me, And the final, maybe, I don't know, maybe we're closing soon, but be the leader you want to be. Who would you like to be on top of you? Then be that person. Okay, if you're toxic, then no, please, then please, you go. But you understand, yes, to be the leader we want to have, even if the top is toxic, you can still, with your team, be the leader that you would like to have. Because as you said, people talk and they say, wow, Victor, I love working for Victor. The rest, I don't know, but I want to be in Victor's team. And this word goes around. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to be in Victor's team because you're just a great leader,
Yes, of course
So,
I am,
of course you are, of course. But this, I don't know why this subject is not taught at school. State emotion, I don't know why. It's just
that's a great question, perhaps for a new
no.
episode, of the podcast. Yeah, because there are so many practical things that they don't teach in the school, and then we have to find out in real life. Sometimes we don't find the right answers, or we don't find them very quickly, and
Exactly.
then we are in the troubles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you just mentioned that we are kind of approaching the time mark that I usually
Yes.
set for these change talks. So on the closing remarks, like how people can get in touch with you if they want your help, if they want to improve their brand in the organization, or just learn how to control their state.
Exactly. LinkedIn, it's all there. I even give them videos. I do a lot of videos also with advice, helping people. So you can even find me on the videos. If you just connect Natasha Sakota, you will see me there. Yes, that's the easiest. Email, I don't know. I can tell you that. But I have my website, natashasakota.com as well.
Okay, so I will put these in the episode description, and I really actually recommend you these short videos on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of them because it's really short format. You can watch them even in the meeting room because there are subtitles always.
Yes, the subtitles. But
so you can talk to your guys and say, okay, so how are you feeling? And watch
no,
the video.
No, don't look at them in the meetings. No.
Okay, cool. So I will put these. I will put these contacts so people can reach out to
thank
you,
you so much.
to your content, and ask you for help, advice in their career or in their business. The connection is making it a little bit more challenging today for us, but I think we are doing just fine. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So Natasha, once again, thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Victor. Much appreciated. Delightful to be with you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to hit the 5-star rating for Change Talks. Share it because that helps to get the content to more people who are just like you, interested in a change. So have a great day. Until next time, and make the change work.